A banner year for new construction in Thunder Bay. Expected auto insurance cuts may bypass the Northwest. And more criticism of the Syrian government following an attack on UN personnel.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The amount of construction and activity in Thunder Bay this year could be another record breaker.
Last year, roughly $215 million worth of construction took place, with the Consolidated Courthouse being the largest project. But a new long-term care facility, hotels and stores could see that record broken by the end of the year. City Council will get a report tonight on the work already underway and what's expected ahead. With more, here's Dennis Ward at City Hall with Mayor Keith Hobbs. Dennis?
Thanks, here with Mayor Hobbs. And Mayor Hobbs, a report coming tonight on the building activity in 2013, and it's been looking like another banner year for the city.
Yeah, that would be 3 in a row, Dennis. It's really looking good. I think we've issued about 730 to 740 building permits. So far about 134 million in construction, but the projection is that it's going to match or exceed last year's building. So it's another good sign that we are growing as a city, and we have to keep on going that way.
And a lot of big projects, a number of hotels, restaurants, grocery stores, all kinds of things.
Yeah, the hotels are really what is exciting, because when you get 4 major chains coming in, it tells you that something's happening in the city. And we're hearing that everywhere. The mining is big. Now with the 2 levels of government going on the Ring of Fire, the 5 northern mayors addressed it at AMO, and the government has agreed that we need to step that up and get it going. So these hotels, they do their homework, and they know that Thunder Bay is a place to be.
Thanks, Mayor Hobbs. We'll send it back to the studio.
Great, thank you.
A preliminary hearing began today for a young man charged last year with first-degree murder. 21-year-old Adam Capay arrived at the Ontario Court of Justice on Arthur Street this morning for day 1 of the hearing. He's charged in connection with the murder of 35-year-old Sherman Quisses during an altercation at the Thunder Bay Correctional Centre in June of last year. Quisses died after a sharp object punctured an artery in his neck. 1 week has been set aside for the preliminary hearing, which will determine if there's enough evidence for the case to proceed to trial. The Crown is expecting 8 or 9 witnesses to testify. Capay is being represented by Winnipeg lawyer Ryan Amy.
A Thunder Bay man charged in connection with a fatal car pedestrian accident in 2010 remains free on bail, despite having new charges laid against him in London, Ontario earlier this month. 27-year-old Christian Hernandez is awaiting a verdict on charges of impaired driving and failing to remain at the scene of an accident following the death of 45-year-old Richard Carmichael. Carmichael was walking home just before Christmas in 2010 when he was struck by a vehicle and killed. Hernandez has been free on bail since early 2011, and his case went to trial in June. A verdict is expected next month. But while the case was winding through the courts, Hernandez managed to amend the terms of his bail release, allowing him to reside in London. And according to London police, he was charged on August 3rd with assault and breach of his bail conditions. When questioned on the matter, the local Crown Attorney's office says they immediately sought to have Hernandez return to Thunder Bay to seek having his release revoked. But the Crown says authorities in London refused to act on the request. Hernandez remains free on bail, with his verdict expected September 23rd.
Northwestern Ontario drivers may not see the full reduction in car insurance rates that the Ontario government has promised. On Friday, Minister of Finance Charles Sousa announced the plan to drop premiums 15% over the next 2 years. The insurance industry is skeptical of the plan without further cuts to benefits, and the head of the local insurance association is warning that drivers in this region may not see as big of a drop in rates as the rest of the province. Matt Scooby has that story.
And we have at this point no idea how they're going to implement or when we're going to see any reductions.
While the Ontario government is planning to roll out its initial drop in car insurance rates early next year, Jeff Jones doesn't know if that'll be the case. And even if they do, the president of the Insurance Brokers Association of Northwestern Ontario believes the cuts will apply more to drivers in southern Ontario.
Northwestern Ontario can be one of the lower territories. In Toronto, you can see 30% higher premiums. Because of the rates are so high in southern Ontario, they may see a bit more of the decrease than the north.
Jones explains that drivers could see anywhere from a 4 to 20% drop in premiums depending on where they are in the province and what companies can offer. And Jones understands that drivers in northwestern Ontario are probably going to be frustrated.
I can see as a consumer myself, when the Ontario government's looking at a decrease and hearing a number of 15%, that yes, myself would want to see some of that. We'd like to offer that for our consumers, but it's whether the Ontario government can do it in a responsible fashion.
A spokesperson for Minister of Finance Charles Sousa says that it's up to the Financial Services Commission of Ontario to make sure that insurers are allocating costs fairly between territories. So in areas where costs go down, savings will go directly to drivers in those areas, and other parts of the province won't have to pay for the reduction. Now, it's unclear what kind of decreases we could see in the region at this point. And Jones adds that insurance companies don't know how they're going to offer savings without more changes.
It's like asking any business to take a 15% decrease in their profit. So they have to do it responsibly, and if they can find areas where they can reduce costs, such as the Anti-Fraud Task Force, then they can offer that discount to the consumer who deserves it.
On top of the task force, Sousa wouldn't rule out a change to the definition for catastrophic impairment in order to cut costs. Insurance companies are expected to start filing new rates in January. Matt Scoopy, TBT News.
Protesters descended on Premier Kathleen Wynne's Toronto home yesterday to draw attention to mercury levels on their Northwestern Ontario First Nation. Roughly 100 brightly dressed demonstrators turned out, most of whom were carrying musical instruments and playing lively tunes. But Wynne's neighbors were the only ones to hear the demonstrators, as the Premier was out of town for the weekend. Water around Grassy Narrows First Nation has been contaminated with mercury since a local paper mill poured an estimated 10 tons of neurotoxins into the system between 1962 and 1970. Wynne has said she would work to address the issue, but the protesters claim no progress has been made.
Thunder Bay Rainy River MP John Rafferty is weighing in on the Roll Up the Red Carpet campaign, which aims to abolish the Senate. NDP leader Tom Mulcair is touring the country in hopes of seeing the Senate removed. The campaign was launched today on Parliament Hill before heading to Halifax. He plans to consult Canadians and work with different provinces and territories to see the upper chambers gone. Rafferty says they've been talking about it for a long time, and his views are the same as Mulcair's. He says he doesn't know anyone who's happy with the Senate these days.
I don't get that excited about a lot of things, but I am excited about getting rid of the Senate, or the possibility of it. Because here you have a clear-cut case of senators using taxpayers' money for travel expenses and per diems and so on to go to fundraisers for the Conservative Party, and I think the Canadians should be up in arms about it.
The Conservatives are waiting on a response from the Supreme Court of Canada on a variety of questions about reforming the Senate.
A boil water advisory remains in effect for the town of Terrace Bay. A thunderstorm early yesterday morning knocked out power to the town's water treatment plant, and the backup generators failed to kick in. This forced town officials to issue the advisory, and they're still trying to determine why the generators failed and who's responsible. The Ontario Clean Water Agency is the official operator of the water treatment plant. 2 water samples were sent to the district health unit today for analysis. An update is expected tomorrow.
The second annual Rib Fest is being called another huge success. The smell of home-cooked ribs was wafting over the north side of the city all weekend. The 3-day event wrapped up yesterday, and those we spoke with say it was a finger-licking good time. Courtney Rutherford reports.
For the second year, the annual Rib Fest was back at the waterfront to tantalize the taste buds of Thunder Bay residents. 4 ribber teams from Southern Ontario came to compete for the Best Ribs title, and close to 35,000 people came out to try them. Jack the Ribber took the title for Best Ribs, and Best Sauce went to Ribs Royale. Waterfront District BIA spokesperson Susan Cooper-Rashawn says the turnout this year exceeded their expectations.
It seemed to go very well. We're always getting input from people and asking how they felt the event went and asking how we can improve it for next year. So there's going to be changes and hopefully growth next year and make it just bigger and better.
There wasn't only ribs being sold at the vendors, pulled pork and full roasted chickens were also available. The fires were crackling and the smell of the sauce took over the grounds. Those we spoke with couldn't wait to take advantage of everything Ribfest had to offer.
We just got out here today and we got in line. The lines were pretty long, but it was great. It was worth the wait. We went over here at Fat Albert's Rib Pit had a full rack plus some baked beans and some coleslaw. It was great. And now I'm in line at Jack the Ribber. They were the winner here last year, and I hear the ribs are even better, so it's worth the wait.
This is my first time here, and I'll be back next year. Hopefully they got it again, but it's really, really good. The music is good. It's a little warm, but otherwise everything was pretty good.
I'm here to enjoy the music, and after I'm going to eat all I can because it's a beautiful day and I'm happy with some friends. So, okay.
My mouth was full. I had ribs, an elephant ear, lemon, and it's a great day. Lots of good music.
After the thousands of people in attendance got their rib on, the 3-day barbecue extravaganza wrapped up. Rashawn expects to see the event back in town for a third time next summer. Courtney Rutherford, TBT News.
The Murillo Fairgrounds were also packed yesterday. The 122nd annual Murillo Fair brought together the entire community to enjoy a variety of activities. Now, despite the sweltering hot weather, there was no shortage of things to do. The event included a rodeo, a variety of food vendors, and a walk through the barns. People have been flocking to the fair for generations, and this year was no exception. Organizer Sylvia Goodhart says attendant numbers were way up, and she attributes the success to some brand new entertainment along with tractor rides. She adds it's a great opportunity to meet up with friends.
Community together, and it gives them a chance to come out, and it's nice to visit your neighbor without having to go and have coffee. You just come and your neighbor's next door to you looking at the exhibits or whatever, and you can talk to them and compete against them. That's the best thing, is competing against your neighbor for your best vegetables and stuff.
Now, for those interested, the next fair on the local calendar is the Heimers Fair. It takes place next Sunday and Monday.
Well, it took a few months, but it looks like summer weather has finally arrived in Thunder Bay. With some thermometers hitting the 30 degrees again today, people across the city were looking for ways to beat the summer heat. Tara Allaire reports.
Don Alford is visiting the city for 8 days and said he couldn't have picked a better week to visit his granddaughter. He says they found a lot of fun ways to stay cool.
Go out here at the park. We were here yesterday again because of the hot weather, and it gives them a chance to cool a little bit. And we go to the lakefront. We'll be there, and your ice cream places. You know, we do the movies tomorrow. Tomorrow. Tomorrow we do the movies. They're going to do the Smurfs or whatever it is. Yeah, so that's it. You can do lots of things in Thunder Bay if you want. Kekapeka Falls, of course, is on the road, and that's always an attraction, a sleeping giant.
Travis Vargo went to Boulevard Lake with some friends to make the best of the late summer. He hopes a few more weeks of warm weather will let him add some hiking and camping to his list of activities.
A couple of our friends, we decided to come on down here to Boulevard, seeing how it's so extremely hot out, and we're going to toss this frisbee, go catch our swim going, try to get a little exhilarated, refreshed, and try to get a little bit of fun in it too, so that's not too bad. I'm happy it's finally here. It's better than having those cool dark days with rain and all that thunder and that, and I don't know, I'm enjoying it.
Over at Prince Arthur's Landing, the splash pad has been packed with families enjoying the sunny weather. Tina and Aiden Mines have been putting their air conditioning to good use, but decided the weather was just too nice to stay indoors this week.
It's nice. We've actually got this week off, and usually by the end of the month it's kind of cool out and we can't really do much outside or camping and stuff, but it's kind of nice this year that we finally have our summer and we can enjoy this last week off. Probably we're going to go out to camp and just go swimming and on the boat and stuff and just try and keep cool in the water.
And it looks like the warm weather does not plan on going away. Despite a bit of rain and humidity, it should remain above 20 degrees for the rest of the week. In even more good news, officials at Thunder Bay Regional say despite the heat wave, the emergency department has not seen an increase in cases of heat stroke. Tara Allaire, TBT News.